what year is it edition? Because this class, again, looks like it's one that's focused on value. And as I had feared at the very beginning, when Excavate and Highlander were two of the mechanics of the set, I was like, oh man, that does not sound promising for the power level of these cards because value hasn't worked in some time. And I once again, unfortunately, must tell you that these cards fail to impress me. So, Rogue gets a bunch of value cards, and if this were 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'd be pretty excited and I'd be like, yeah, value Rogue. This time it's gonna work. And as I kept repeating it, I started realizing the more and more years passed by, the more and more unlikely it was that Value Rogue would ever work. The reason being, Value just doesn't beat the big synergy combo decks out there, which are both value and control, but defeat value decks because they have the infinite value in terms of they'll combo you out of the game. So they perform just like value decks, but due to their synergy and how well they work together, but they have the win cards instead of just trying to kill your opponent by having lots of resources. As Drilly the Kid, the big card for Rogue is. Now, this admittedly is a great card. Julie the Kid, legendary, 4 mana, 4/3 mech, Battlecry, Quick Draw, and Death Rattle. Excavate a treasure. So that is a 4 mana, 4/3, which has the potential to get you 3 good cards because excavates are better than average cards. In theory, they are cost efficient, is what I should say. However, getting random cards that don't necessarily fit your deck's game plan, that's the essence of getting non-synergistic value is what I'll call it. And non-synergistic value has gotten increasingly less good. So, yeah, Julie the Kid has the potential to get you 3 cards and has a 4 mana 4/3, and that's very impressive, and I'm certain Julie the Kid will see play. Great card, very powerful. But the Excavate thing, when we look at the 4 legendary, 4 excavation legendary that Rogue gets, it's the Azurite Scorpion, 4 mana 5/5 elemental beast. Battlecry, get 4 random spells. If you've excavated 8 times, they cost 0. So basically, if you have just Julie the Kid and you play it with the quick draw, then you're basically 3/4 of the way to the Azurite Scorpion. And if you play Julie the Kid and then you bounce it, and then you play Julie the Kid again, then you'll get the Battlecry once, and then you'll get the Battlecry, Quick Draw, and Death Rattle on the second time, presumably. Which means you'll get to the Azurite Scorpion, which is 4 mana to get a 5/5 and get 4 random spells. I think excavating 8 times is probably a bit too much and probably weakens your deck if you try to build towards that. So I basically think Julie the Kid fits in. You'll actually get to your Azurite Scorpion. You aim for the 4 random spells, and that's great. Julie the Kid, excellent card. Even in a format where I criticize value, this card is pushed so high that it is just good. That is an example of the value is so good that even despite it being a value card that isn't really providing much synergy, it's still good. Just, that much value, it's great. Now, on the other hand, cards that go off of the excavation, even though Rogue will be able to do it pretty much just by playing Julie the Kid, Antique Flinger, 4 mana 5/4 Battlecry, if you've excavated twice, destroy an enemy minion. That's really efficient if you've excavated twice. But because all of your excavation powers in one card, I don't believe this is realistic. So Antique Flinger, no, I'd say. Bloodrock Co Shovel, it's a 1 mana 1/3 with Death Rattle, excavate a treasure. That's way too slow, in my opinion. Not gonna put that in your value deck. By the way, as a note, for some reason, one of the Rogue legendaries has not been revealed. Not sure why. We saw that with Mage earlier as well, so that's pretty curious. I wonder why the Rogue legendary hasn't been revealed. I guess we'll see at BlizzCon. Anyways, the other 6 cards actually all have a theme, and that theme is Value Rogue. And if this were 2018, I think I would be extremely enthusiastic to play play these cards. I might even look at this card, triple sevens, and be like, holy cow, that's insane. Sprint is 7 mana to draw 4 cards. I know it's gotten changed, but we're talking 5 years ago. Sprint is 7 mana, draw 4 cards. How could they do this? How could triple sevens be a 7 mana, deal 7, draw 7? Holy cow, what has Blizzard thought? Is this Ultimate Infestation version 2? Well, as it turns out, Ultimate Infestation might not even be good these days. But triple sevens also has the strong possibility of not being good on the concept of I think the theoretical right deck for this card to go into is a aggressive deck that runs out of cards and then uses this as a refill. But the main problem is there's a lot of just self-refill and or discover that you can play that has reasonable stats as well, instead of just playing something that skips your turn. A card that's a dead card until you run out of other cards, and then you play the 7 mana card to get stuff. That just seems too slow right now with today's game plan. Seems rough. I don't know what to say, man. On paper, that looks really good. But this is the same paper where the 5 mana sprint draw 4 is not played at all. And, well, triple sevens, it fits into that exact category. Other value cards include Shell Game. 3 mana, get a random epic, rare, and common card from other classes. So guaranteed to be from other classes, which is good for Tess. But Tess is a value deck, and the payoff for that rogue value deck is you get to play Tess and do a bunch of cool stuff, but it doesn't win you the game. When the other classes do a bunch of cool stuff, they win the game. So Shell Game does not win you the game, and is not actually very good, even though that is 3 mana, generate 3. Stick Up, 1 mana, discover a quick draw card from another class. That can get you pretty specific cards, because there's not that many quick draw cards out there. But to pay 1 mana in order to guaranteed get like another card, which will be the better side because it'll guaranteed enter with quick draw. It's seems questionable. I haven't seen that many great quick draw cards also. So when you have to pay the extra mana for the quick draw effect, might not be good enough. That's just a value generic card and doesn't really fulfill much. The other small package here, also value cards, is based around Wishing Well, a 5 mana 0/7. After you play a coin, get a random legendary minion from another class and set its cost to 1. Actually reminds me of the Countess. However, unlike the Countess you just threw into an already good deck, the Pure Paladin deck. The Wishing Well you kind of have to build around because you need to get a bunch of coin generators in order to play the Wishing Well and then play a bunch of these coins, which is tough because this is a pure value deck and you have to run a bunch of these coin generators in your value deck. The reason why Pure Paladin works is because it kept pressuring you, but the coin generators are pretty slow and kind of control-y, such as Dart Throw, 2 mana, throw 2 damage darts at random enemy minions. If both hit the same minion, get a coin. This card's actually pretty good because it's either 2 mana, deal 4 damage to a minion and get a coin, or 2 mana, deal 2 to 2, which is okay. Obviously, you want to hit 2 darts into the same card. But then again, you have to compare this with Eviscerate, and that's also 2 mana, deal 4. You don't get the coin, but you do get the potential to hit the face, which is really important because this is a value rogue card. It's a control rogue card, and the rogue doesn't actually have a win condition, which other classes can value and control and then win the game afterwards. But what's Rogue gonna do? Are they gonna just play Wishing Well and play a bunch of coins? That's a very fragile win condition. It's fun, but fragile. The other way to get coins is with this 3 mana 3/4, where if you combo it or if you play it the turn you draw it, you get a coin. I mean, that's obviously a good card. Maybe we'll see it in other decks than this Wishing Well deck. If you consider the coin like a card, that's like a 3 mana 3/4 draw card. You could consider the coin not a great card, but you also might actually consider the coin a pretty good card because Rogue in the past got counterfeit coin and they thought that coin was pretty good. Obviously, you need to have a deck that really valued spells or coins or something for that to be as good, or if not better, than a card. So there you have it. It's Rogue, and you're going to really have to dig deep with these cards in order to find any sorts of treasures. Because is Valley Rogue going to work? No, I say. I must sadly say, this isn't going to work.